In seeking to apply the span of 120 years to man, the scholars ignore the fact that the biblical language employs not the future tense, his days shall be, but the past tense, and his days were 120 years. The obvious question, then, is whose time span is referred to here. Our conclusion is that the count of 120 years was meant to apply to the deity. Setting a momentous event in its proper time perspective is a common feature of the Sumerian and Babylonian epic texts. The epic of creation opens with the words Anu Elish when on high. The story of the encounter of the god Enlil and the goddess Ninlil is placed at the time when man had not yet been created, and so on. The language and purpose of chapter 6 of Genesis were here to the same purpose, to put the momentous events of the Great Flood in their proper time perspective. The very first word of the very first verse of chapter 6 is when the earthlings began to increase in number upon the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. This, the narrative continues, was the time when the sons of the gods saw the daughters of the earthling, that they were compatible, and they took unto themselves wives of whichever they chose. It was the time when the Nephilim were upon the land in those days, and thereafter too, when the sons of the gods cohabited with the earthlings' daughters, and they conceived. They were the mighty Onslur of Olam, the people of the Shem. It was then, in those days, at that time, that man was about to be wiped off the face of the earth by the flood. When exactly was that? Verse 3 tells us unequivocally when the deity's count was 120 years. 120 years, not of man, and not of earth, but as counted by the mighty ones, the people of the rockets, the Nephilim. And their year was the Shar, 3,600 earth years. This interpretation not only clarifies the perplexing verses of Genesis 6, it also shows how the verses match the Sumerian information. 120 shars, 432,000 earth years, had passed between the Nephilim's first landing on earth and the deluge. Based on our estimates of when the deluge occurred, we place the first landing of the Nephilim on earth circa 450,000 years ago. Before we turn to the ancient records regarding the voyages of the Nephilim to Earth and their settlement on Earth, two basic questions need to be answered. Could beings obviously not much different from us evolve on another planet? Could such beings have had the capability, 500,000 years ago, for interplanetary travel? The first question touches upon a more fundamental question: is there life, as we know it, anywhere besides the planet Earth? Scientists now know that there are innumerable galaxies, like ours, containing countless stars, like our Sun, with astronomical numbers of planets providing every imaginable combination of temperature and atmosphere and chemicals, offering billions of chances for life. They have also found that our own interplanetary space is not void. For example, there are water molecules in space, the remnants of what are believed to have been clouds of ice crystals, that apparently envelop stars in their early stages of development. This discovery lends support to persistent Mesopotamian references to the waters of the sun, which mingled with the waters of Tiamat. The basic molecules of living matter have also been found floating in interplanetary space, and the belief that life can exist only within certain atmospheres or temperature ranges has also been shattered. Furthermore, the notion that the only source of energy and heat available to living organisms is the sun's emissions has been discarded. Thus, the spacecraft Pioneer 10 discovered that Jupiter, though much farther away from the Sun and Earth, was so hot that it must have its own sources of energy and heat. A planet with an abundance of radioactive elements in its depths would not only generate its own heat, it would also experience substantial volcanic activity. Such volcanic activity provides an atmosphere. If the planet is large enough to exert a strong gravitational pull, it will keep its atmosphere almost indefinitely. Such an atmosphere, in turn, creates a hothouse effect that shields the planet from the cold of outer space, and keeps the planet's own heat from dissipating into space, much as clothing keeps us warm by not letting the body's heat dissipate. With this in mind, the ancient text descriptions of the 12th planet as clothed with a halo assume more than poetic significance. It was always referred to as a radiant planet, most radiant of the gods, and depictions of it showed it as a ray-emitting body. The 12th planet could generate its own heat and retain the heat because of its atmospheric mantle. Scientists have also come to the unexpected conclusion that not only could life have evolved upon the outer planets Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, but it probably did evolve there. These planets are made up of the lighter elements of the solar system, have a composition more akin to that of the universe in general, and offer a profusion of hydrogen, helium, methane, ammonia, and probably neon and water vapor in their atmospheres, all the elements required for the production of organic molecules. For life as we know it to develop, water is essential. The Mesopotamian texts left no doubt that the 12th planet was a watery planet. In the Epic of Creation, the planet's list of 15 names included a group exalting its watery aspects. Based on the epithet Asar watery king, who established water levels, the names described the planet as Asar lofty, bright watery king Asar. Ulutu lofty, bright watery king, whose deep is plentiful and so on. The Sumerians had no doubt that the 12th planet was a verdant planet of wheat. Indeed, they called it Nam.to.la.ku, the god who maintains life. He was also bestower of cultivation, creator of grain and herbs, who causes vegetation to sprout, who opened the wells, apportioning waters of abundance, the irrigator of heaven and earth. Life, scientists have concluded, evolved not upon the terrestrial planets with their heavy chemical components, but in the outer fringes of the solar system. From these fringes of the solar system, the 12th planet came into our midst, a reddish, glowing planet, generating and radiating its own heat, providing from its own atmosphere the ingredients needed for the chemistry of life. If a puzzle exists, it is the appearance of life on Earth. Earth was formed some 4,500,000,000 years ago, and scientists believe that the simpler forms of life were already present on Earth within a few 100,000,000 years thereafter. This is simply much too soon for comfort. There are also several indications that the oldest and simplest forms of life, more than 3 billion years old, had molecules of a biological, not a non-biological, origin. Stated differently, this means that the life that was on Earth so soon after Earth was born was itself a descendant of some previous life form, and not the result of the combination of lifeless chemicals and gases. What all this suggests to the baffled scientists is that life, which could not easily evolve on Earth, did not, in fact, evolve on Earth. Writing in the scientific magazine Zecharia September 1973, Nobel Prize winner Francis Crick and Dr. Leslie Orgel advanced a theory that life on Earth may have sprung from tiny organisms from a distant planet. They launched their studies out of the known uneasiness among scientists over current theories of the origins of life on Earth. Why is there only one genetic code for all terrestrial life? If life started in a primeval soup, as most biologists believe, organisms with a variety of genetic codes should have developed. Also, why does the element molybdenum play a key role in enzymatic reactions that are essential to life, when molybdenum is a very rare element? Why are elements that are more abundant on Earth, such as chromium or nickel, so unimportant in biochemical reactions? The bizarre theory offered by Crick and Orgel was not only that all life on Earth may have sprung from an organism from another planet, but that such seeding was deliberate, that intelligent beings from another planet launched the seed of life from their planet to Earth, in a spaceship, for the express purpose of starting the life chain on Earth. Without benefit of the data provided by this book, these two eminent scientists came close to the real fact. There was no premeditated seeding. Instead, there was a celestial collision. A life-bearing planet, the 12th planet, and its satellites, collided with Tiamat and split it in two, creating Earth of its half. During that collision, the life-bearing soil and air of the 12th planet seeded Earth, giving it the biological and complex early forms of life for whose early appearance there is no other explanation. If life on the 12th planet started even 1% sooner than on Earth, then it began there some 45 million years earlier. Even by this minute margin, beings as developed as man would already have been living upon the 12th planet, when the first small mammals had just begun to appear on Earth. Given this earlier start for life on the 12th planet, it was possible for its people to be capable of space travel a mere 500,000 years ago. Landing on planet Earth, we have set foot only on the moon, and